He's the former president and publisher of the Sun Herald, and now he's on the radio. Welcome to Coast Vue with Ricky Mathews on SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1.
Welcome to Coast Vue, the show that continues to celebrate the men and women who are making coastal Mississippi such a great place to live, work, and play. We're still up in the Mississippi Delta, not in the coastal Mississippi studio, but we'll be back in the studio tomorrow. Got a great guest today, but I want to take just a second before we get today's show started and just send my condolences to the family of Governor William Winter. If you go and read about Governor Winter, what an amazing contribution he made to the history of Mississippi. And you'll hear people say things like he was a statesman, he was a good man, he was honorable, he was gracious. Among other things, he championed education reform in this state. But I got to know him as a publisher with a newspaper. Our paths crossed on a number of occasions over the years. And one of the times that it really crossed was after Hurricane Katrina. He worked with us on the governor's commission as an advisor to Governor Haley Barbour. One of the things that Governor Barbour wanted to have is a very diverse and bipartisan effort focused as it related to the Governor's Commission on Recovery, Rebuilding, and Renewal. And I was really honored to have the opportunity to sit in the room with Governor Winter and hear his contributions to the conversation. He was so thoughtful. He was so smart. He was a visionary, and he cared so deeply about this state. And his passing is a sad day for Mississippi, but he leaves an incredible legacy. And we can thank God for that. So condolences to his family. Now let's turn to Kyle and say good morning to my partner in crime. And look, Kyle, the Saints didn't win, but it had nothing to do with the music. You know that.
No, when we needed critical stops, yeah, we got them.
Well, I tell you, it was hard to watch the first. We're recording this on Monday, so to be playing on Tuesday. But it was hard to watch any of the coverage after the fact. I think that I felt a little better about the game as it went on. Different than the Philadelphia game. Philadelphia game, as Jeff Duncan from The Athletic called it, it was a clunker in every aspect of the game. But we tried to fight our way back. But the bottom line is, man, you cannot spot Kansas City 14 points and expect to win.
No, and you said hard to watch it after the fact. It was hard to watch it there during the fact. That first half just looked, horrendous. You didn't expect that coming into this game. You really thought Philadelphia game, they were bad in three phases, and you really thought they were looking ahead to this week against the Chiefs, and then they come out and do that the first half, and like, wow, what are they looking to?
I know. I can't wait to talk to Jeff. We're going to be Jeff Duncan from The Athletic, covered the Saints more than anyone else on earth, will be with us on Christmas Eve this week. Look forward to talking to him. But, when the score was 14-0, you may remember this. At that point in the game, Drew Brees had not completed a pass. We had not gotten a single first down, and he had thrown an interception. And that was sort of where we were. I think we had 10 total yards on offense at that stage of the game at 14-0 down. Wow.
I think that was the longest first half, it seemed like, in the history of football.
Man, it was rough. You go ahead.
It just took forever. All the incomplete passes on both sides to start it off, really. Just one clock stoppage after another. Crazy.
And to say that Drew Brees was rusty probably doesn't spell it out well enough, does it?
No, it doesn't. He was a little rusty. We were missing Michael Thomas, and all of those factors, and plus you're playing the Chiefs, are hitting on every cylinder. It was a good test for us. Everybody matched it up as a potential Super Bowl matchup, and it still could possibly be true. You just didn't expect the Saints to come out that flat in the first quarter.
I think that the defense played fairly well. Now, this is the first time that I've really focused. I've seen Mahomes here and there, but I just first time I really focused on him. He's a freak of nature, and to play him, you've got to be on your game, and you got to be prepared to match touchdown to touchdown.
That guy, living video game. I mean, to watch him do that in real life is whoa.
I know. Well, Kyle, thank you, buddy. And we'll go ahead and move on now to our guest today is Milton Segarra. He's the Chief Executive Officer for Coastal Mississippi Tourism, a good friend of the show. I went back, Milton, and we've talked a bunch of times since March. But as I mentioned to you before the show started, I've never talked to you because we met we met in a Coast Vue section. I've never talked to you when there wasn't a pandemic.
We're good pandemic friends, that's so.
Well, look,
Thank
on
you
the
so
show
much
today,
for the opportunity. Delightful to be here with you.
Pleasure. I want to listen. We're going to spend the whole show today talking about tourism. So we got a lot of time to share a lot of important perspective that you bring to the table. So what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about 2020. Sort of go back to the beginning of the pandemic. Where were we before the pandemic hit? We were actually looking forward to what could have been a record year. We're going to go back and we're going to talk about how did we end up stacking up after we put all these strategic things in place to be able to deal with tourism in a pandemic moment. And then we're going to look ahead and, what do we have to look forward to in 2021? As I read, it might have been Bloomberg or Wall Street Journal that said that we're about to have the largest injection of stimulus money in the history of the world. And that was essentially, starting the economy back up after the vaccine is fully implemented. That's probably true. We're going to go places we've never been before in terms of pent up demand and all that. So we're going to get into all that. You ready to do that?
Absolutely. I'm ready to do it with you.
Okay. So let's remind people, first of all, Coastal Mississippi Tourism is a 3-county organization, and it really was developed after Hurricane Katrina, us realizing we needed to move forward and speak with one voice. So talk about what your organization is, who's involved in it, and let's kind of lay the groundwork for that.
Thank you so much. That's a great way to start this program, Ricky, and talking about 2020. But back in 2014, the coast leaders, not only private, but also the elected officials, they came up with this model, which proven to be one of the best ideas they had. It was a great initiative to have one entity representing the entire coast, the 3 counties, the 12 cities, into one main strategy to promote and bring visitors to the coast. And since that moment, 2014, we've been, what it's called the Gulf Coast Regional Conventions and Visitors Bureau, which we are Coastal Mississippi. And this is a professionally driven organization in which we have highly competitive marketing and tourism-related professionals working hand in hand with all the stakeholders, elected officials. And we are led by a phenomenal board of directors, 15 members from all the counties. We have 9 representatives from Harrison County, 3 from Hancock, and 3 from Jackson. From Hancock, we have Ms. Nikki Moon, Clay Wagner, and Mark Henderson, phenomenal, leaders in their county. From Jackson, we have Carla Todd, Rich Westfold, and Jim Williams, great entrepreneurs, great leaders in the coast. And from Harrison, which is the biggest delegation, we have our current president, Mary Spain. We have Rob Stinson, which is a phenomenal entrepreneur for the coast, Brooke Schultz, Bill Holmes, Danny Haynes, Rusty David, Richard Marsh, Shirley Dane, and Kim Fritz, all of them great members working into one common goal to make sure we bring more visitors and we increase the participation and the economic impact of the tourism for the coast while we improve the quality of place and quality of life of all of us that we live here. So not too many people know about what we do, but we are the guys, the gentlemen and women that we bring visitors to the coast, simply put.
Well, I had as we've discussed before, I had the pleasure of leading the tourism recovery effort for the Governor's Commission after Hurricane Katrina. And one of the things that we did, because I didn't know what I needed to know about tourism. And one of the things that we did is say, okay, how do we compare ourselves to other communities? What does it mean to become a destination? And we focused on 4 major elements. First, you got to have a really great airport. Second, you got to have convention space. Third, you got to have incredible world-class and lots of them hotel rooms. And fourth, you have to have amenities. And, that's the beach, that's wonderful restaurants, that's the collection of towns that make up Coastal Mississippi and each of their sense of places that we've talked about before. But you came here. You have international. You've been involved in international tourism organizations. You came from Puerto Rico, where you had multiple different roles there as well. When you came here and saw what Coastal Mississippi had to offer, when you take gaming and sort of the natural environment, the collection of communities, we've got a really great thing to market, don't we?
Oh, absolutely. And I can tell you, I've been 30 years in this business. Right now, I'm part of the board of directors of Destinations International, which we have all the DMOs of the world. I'm part of the U.S. Travel Association board of directors and many others. And I can tell you, as I said, I've been in this business for 30 years. There is not too many destinations right now, especially in the South, with the potential that we have.
Milton, let's do this. We're coming to the end of this segment, but we'll pick it up from there. The other thing I meant to mention was where we're located. The drive-in possibilities. We're sort of at the center of the world of opportunity, and we'll explain what we mean by that in just a second. But this is Milton Segarra. He's CEO of Coastal Mississippi Tourism, and we'll be back after this break.
Coast Vue on SuperTalk 103.1 is brought to you by Allen Toyota on I-10 exit 38 Gulfport. See all of the incredible inventory at AllenToyota.com. And remember, when you think Toyota, think Allen Toyota.
106.3 Casino Radio is here. Tune to 106.3 to discover all of our must-see attractions and everything that's happening at our 12 incredible casino resorts. Where to eat, where to stay, what to do, and where to play. 106.3 Casino Radio has you covered with everything you need to know to help make your visit here to the coast one you'll never forget. Turn on 106.3 Casino Radio or listen now on our website, CasinoRadio1063.com.
Feeling down? Here's your prescription for a daily dose of good news and positive vibes. Good Things with Rebecca Turner. Every afternoon, Rebecca highlights all the good things happening right here in the state you call home. Daily exposure to Good Things with Rebecca Turner may cause smiling, feelings of positivity, happiness, and even laughter. When you experience these symptoms, tell your friends to listen.
Okay.
Weekdays starting at 2 p.m. here on SuperTalk Mississippi and now on Amazon Alexa devices.
Hey, I'm Steve Azar, and you never know who or what you'll hear when I spend a Mississippi Minute with my friends. We are with the fabulous Norbert Putnam as he played on so many hit records, you can't count them, and produced for some of the biggest acts ever. We got to talk Jimmy Buffett.
One day at breakfast, he says, I started a new song. It's about a night and a day in Key West. I played a bar and I got drunk, and coming home, I stepped out of my flip-flop, and I just kept going. I stepped on a beer can. The next morning, I'm up, and I'm hungover, and I'm trying to make a margarita. I got some shrimp boiling. I can't find the salt. I said, Jimmy, I kind of like this. And he said, yeah, I think I'll call it Margaritaville.
In a Mississippi Minute. Be sure to check out In a Mississippi Minute with me, Steve Azar, right here on your local SuperTalk Mississippi station and now on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher.
Listen to Ole Miss football on SuperTalk 103.1.
If Alexa's part of your life, you've got one more way to access SuperTalk. SuperTalk Mississippi is now available on Amazon Alexa devices. Once enabled, just say, Alexa, play SuperTalk Mississippi at any time and start listening. It's that easy. Just one more way to stay informed and connected with your state. Learn more at supertalk.fm/Alexa. SuperTalk Mississippi. SuperTalk Mississippi. Now available on Amazon Alexa devices. Talking to the people that help make the coast such a unique place to live. This is Coast View with Ricky Mathews on SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1.
Welcome back to Coast Vue. We have Milton Segarra, the CEO of Coastal Mississippi Tourism, with us today, and we're gonna do a look back at 2020. We're gonna look ahead at 2021. Milton's got a lot of really important data that he's going to share about how we stack up to other communities, and what we're doing now is just sort of laying the groundwork for who the Coastal Mississippi organization is, who's involved in it, what their mission is. And when we went to break, we were talking about how lucky we are to be sort of geographically centered where we are in the U.S. and the opportunities that we have to really grow this market in very special ways. But let's continue that. The geographic aspect is really a big deal, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. 79% of all the visitors that are coming to coastal Mississippi they're coming by car. They drive to visit us. And that's great. Being in the South and competing with destinations such as New Orleans, to the north, all the way to the north to Nashville, Memphis, Jackson here in Mississippi, obviously Mobile, when you get to Alabama, Gulf Shores, Destin in Florida. So this is a highly competitive region. The thing is this, number one, if people want to fly, they can come and fly to us. We have a great airport, and Clay and his team is doing a great job at the airport, number one. But mainly, the geographical location that we have provide us with a 3 to 5 hours driving range that is putting us in contact with phenomenal market from Houston to the west to Atlanta to the east, and Nashville to the north. And we're drawing people and visitors from that area. And the thing is this, you will find in the South destination with a lot of the beach amenities, which is great, or many facilities and cultural-driven locations. When you go to coastal Mississippi, you have both. You have everything, plus the gaming, which is second to none in the region, and certainly one of the top markets in the nation. So when you put all of that, you bring a very unique combination of assets, combination of experiences that no other destination in the South can provide. And we're maximizing on that opportunity. And that's why I'm telling you, Ricky, that we have such a phenomenal potential. And we're seeing the numbers, not only number of visitors, but the investment that is coming to coastal Mississippi.
Well, you look at the casino industry. I recently said in something it may have been on this show or something else that I was involved in, that if you think about that, Mississippi, from a casino point of view, did it right when they decided to let the free enterprise determine success. That we're not going to try to limit the number of casinos. We're going to let the market decide that. And so what that does is create a competitive environment where amenities and the value of the amenities have to be there. The restaurants are some of the best in the country. The rooms. In the pandemic, I mean, listen, our group of casinos here led the world really for casinos as it related to how to reopen in this pandemic moment in a way that can be safe. But we're lucky that we did it that way. But if we'd have limited them, there would not been as big a desire to compete in the way that they compete today. And then you've got the Universal Broadwater project and possibilities of that, and other projects that are being discussed, and mixed-use developments that are developing. And man, I mean, the future is bright, but we've got a great foundation to work with, don't we?
Absolutely. The key is how from now on we start thinking about how we should, what type of organization from coastal Mississippi standpoint of view we need to be to help that. And number two, how from a leadership perspective, public and private, how do we see this opportunity and how we shape this for a better future? This will not happen organically. This is something we need to put in place. We need to create a master plan. We need to have the support and the participation of our communities, which is something we're working really hard. Because when you invite somebody to come and visit you, you're telling them, come and visit our small towns, come and visit our casinos, come and visit our beaches, our facilities. But that's a decision. That's a commitment from a region. And we need to make sure that if we want to go to the next step, we need to have the participation, not only of the private sector, but as well as the public sector, but most importantly is the communities. We need to have their support, their engagement to what we're doing in order to make sure we can really portray that experience of coastal Mississippi, that Southern hospitality that is so important for us.
Hey, one of the things I like about you, Milton, is that you're also involved in statewide tourism efforts. And so you're not just sitting down here competing with the world, including the rest of Mississippi, although that's inherent in what you do. You've worked to understand how coastal Mississippi fits into the larger picture of Mississippi. And Mississippi, as a general rule, I just love the fact that they focus so much attention on tourism and understanding the regions and the blues trails and all this stuff. But you've been involved in that. You didn't let any dust grow before you started sort of broadening your horizon, understanding who the players are in this state. That's really helped you put coastal Mississippi in the proper perspective, hasn't it?
Oh, absolutely. And when you have the responsibility, and this is the way we look at this, 1/3 of all the business in the tourism industry that happens in the state of Mississippi happens here in coastal Mississippi. And even though that sounds great, it's also a big responsibility, and we're going to step up to that. And as such, we are in constant communication with the elected officials, the legislators, to make sure that when something happens or it's supposed to be happening in Jackson, coastal Mississippi is part of those conversations. And if we do good, the state of Mississippi does better. It's very simple. Let me tell you, for example, in the number of visitors. Last year in Mississippi, with the new company that they have in order to do the demographic assessment of the visitors, pretty close to 38.8 million visitors came to Mississippi as a state. That's a phenomenal number. Of that, Ricky, 14.2 million came here. That's 36 or 37% of all the visitors that is coming to the state of Mississippi are coming here. And it's exactly the same in terms of the economic impact. So when you see that, you must be part of those conversations, and we will continue to do that. Because at the end, as I said 1 minute ago, if we do good, the state of Mississippi does better. As simple as that.
More proof that that's a very compelling proof that coastal Mississippi is a region that drives this state. When you think about Ingalls on one end and the Stennis test facility on the other, and all that's happening there, and then with tourism and casino in the middle of the bookends, what a powerful region this is. So, Milton, when you and I first started talking, we realized, or all of us realized, that we were going to have to do business different. But you guys built an entire plan that said when we reopen from the closed moment we were in as a result of the pandemic, we have to have a reputation that we're a safe place to visit. It's all about health. You focused so hard on that. And that's a conversation that no matter who I talked to in tourism, they were all singing from the same hymnal as it related to that. That was really important, wasn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It was fundamental. One of the most important pillars in the recovery efforts for our region. We follow at that time all the sentiment reports from the consumers. We wanted to know how they were thinking, how were they feeling, and what was going to be the new pattern for them, the new behavioral pattern to travel. And at some point, we went against our DNA, and we were telling them, listen, don't travel right now. Wait until it's ready, and when you believe you're ready, we'll be here waiting for you. And in that very same time, we were dealing with our locals here, our partners, making sure we can put together a health promise from destination standpoint of view to make sure that we create the need to everybody to concentrate in offer a safe experience when people came and visit us. And we did that. If you take a look to the numbers, COVID numbers for the state, our numbers in terms of cases and death is single digit, and that's remarkable. And that's also how good the coast reacted and followed the advice in this situation.
So what I want to do, we can start doing that for the rest of this segment, and then we'll pick it up on the other side. But what are the headlines for 2021 in terms of performance?
Well, that's a great question. And this is something we all should be proud, not only coastal Mississippi, but Mississippi as a state. We have the information as of November, and Mississippi led, certainly the region, coastal Mississippi led the state of Mississippi, which I'm very proud and very happy to say. But Mississippi as a state was the number 2 market in the nation in recovery. If you take a look to all the shapes of the recoveries, you have sometimes an L or a U or a B shape. We had a B shape recovery. And so far, while we're seeing 49.5% decrease in revenue across the nation. Ricky, here in coastal Mississippi, it's only 20%. So we are doing so much better, even though 20% is a big number, and we felt the impact of that 20%. But when you compare with what is happening on the rest of the nation, 20% is a great accomplishment.
So what I want to do when we come back from the break, I want to break that down and let's talk more about putting that in proper perspective. That, to me, listening to that is incredibly compelling, and it is essentially tells a story that you were telling from the very beginning, and that is if you prove to people this is a safe place to visit, with nearly 80% of the people who come here driving here and they feel safe in their cars, this is a real opportunity for coastal Mississippi, and clearly it turned out that way. So when we come back, we'll start to break all that down. But this is Milton Segarra, the CEO of Coastal Mississippi Tourism, and we'll see you right after this break.
Broadcasting safe and sound from the Coastal Mississippi studios, this is Coast Vue with Ricky Mathews on SuperTalk 103.1. Listen to Ole Miss football on SuperTalk 103.1.
Be sure to go by this station's website and check out the half-off deals. Audubon Zoo tickets for just $15. That's half price. $30 zoo tickets for just $15. Again, go to this station's website or Facebook. Look for the half-off deals logo to purchase yours now.
Heart attacks and strokes don't stay home. So don't avoid the ER out of anxiety. Don't die of doubt. If you have an emergency, call 911. When seconds count, the hospital is the safest place to be.
Hey, I'm Steve Azar, and you never know who or what you'll hear when I spend a Mississippi Minute with my friends. Talking to Paul Thorne, Mississippi true treasure, really incredible recording artist, singer, songwriter. Has been doing it a long time, doing it the right way.
It's almost like a Forrest Gump thing because, I was a boxer, / I worked in a furniture factory, / I had a gig 2 nights a week playing my acoustic guitar in a pizza restaurant, / I was in the National Guard, and all this stuff was going on at the same time. / I had a writing contract with Rick Hall and Fame.
In a Mississippi Minute. Be sure to check out In a Mississippi Minute with me, Steve Azar, right here on SuperTalk Mississippi, the SuperTalk Mississippi app, and now available on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher.
There's a place to share gossip about the office party fun, and a place to share the story you tell everyone. There's a place to share a laugh about when things went wrong, and a place to share the video of you dancing to your song. There's a place to share spare change, lunch, and your time. But we could all be better at sharing how we're feeling inside. 76% of employees have struggled with at least one issue that affected their mental health. When you share, you're not alone.
Feeling down? Here's your prescription for a daily dose of good news and positive vibes. Good Things with Rebecca Turner. Every afternoon, Rebecca highlights all the good things happening right here in the state you call home. Daily exposure to Good Things with Rebecca Turner may cause smiling, feelings of positivity, happiness, and even laughter. When you experience these symptoms, tell your friends to listen. Okay. Weekdays starting at 2 p.m. here on SuperTalk Mississippi, and now on Amazon Alexa devices.
This is House Call for Health. There may be no greater medical mystery and no greater tragedy than sudden infant death syndrome. It used to be known as crib death. For no apparent reason, a presumably healthy sleeping baby dies. Medical experts don't have clear-cut answers to what causes sudden infant death, or SIDS, but now they have 2 risk factors: smoking and drinking during pregnancy beyond the first 3 months. A new study finds that babies whose mothers drank alcohol and smoked tobacco after after the first trimester are at far greater risk of SIDS, 12 times greater. Previous studies showed a risk of smoking and drinking individually. This study says doing both drastically increases the danger. The research is sponsored by the National Institutes of Health, which is calling for greater publicity about the danger and improved screening at the very beginning of a pregnancy. For more health news, go to foxnewshealth.com. House Call for Health. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News.
You could be spreading the coronavirus without realizing you have it, so do your part and stay home. It's important to limit in-person interaction with anyone outside of your immediate household, but phone and video chat are safe ways to connect. It's also important to limit social gatherings. If you need essential items like food and medicine, try using a delivery service. If you must leave your house for essential items, or if you want to take a walk for exercise, make sure to wear a cloth face covering. Stay at least 6 feet away from other people. Try not to frequently touch surfaces like light signals, street signs, or benches. And wash your hands with soap and water for at least 20 seconds as often as possible. This advice applies to people of any age, including teens and younger adults. It takes all of us to slow the spread of the coronavirus, so stay home unless absolutely necessary. Visit Coronavirus.gov for the latest information.
Whether you're a Rebel, a Bulldog, a Golden Eagle, or just a sports fan, SuperTalk Mississippi has got a podcast for you. For you. Sports Talk Mississippi, the Rebel Report, Thunder and Lightning, the SuperTalk Eagle Hour, and the Borky Show are all now available for you, and it's all free. Get them all on demand at supertalk.fm and on your smartphone. Just search for SuperTalk on iTunes, Google Play, or anywhere you listen to podcasts. He's the former president and publisher of the Sun Herald, and now he's on the radio. Welcome to Coast Vue with Ricky Mathews on SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1.
Welcome back to Coast Vue. We have Milton Segarra with us today. He's the CEO of Coastal Mississippi Tourism. And when we went to break, Milton sort of laid the groundwork for how Mississippi, and in particular Coastal Mississippi, is doing relative to the rest of the nation. He said that our recovery has been number 2 in the nation. If you look at tourism across the nation, you're talking about markets that had greater than 50% declines, and Mississippi had around a 20% decline. That's Milton. That's really incredible. But I think it goes to your point. In the early days after the pandemic, it was clear that those markets that were mostly a drive-in market were going to have a bit of a competitive advantage over those that were a fly-in market. And when we talked to Clay Williams from the airport today, still the biggest decline that he has faced is in the leisure traveler. You're seeing business kind of coming back a little bit. Of course, military has continued to travel. You're seeing some leisure travel, but still people are leery to get in the airplane and go on vacation. I mean, that's just a fact, and they feel safer in their cars. And that will sort of be that way, won't it, until we have herd immunity in the United States?
Yeah, to get back to the past airline levels will take some time. Right now, the car is the temple for the family. They feel safe. That's their own space. They are willing to go anywhere, any place in their cars, and that's how they get here. But as I was closing the previous segment, there's something. The numbers we're seeing, they didn't happen just because it was Mississippi and it was the perfect storm. No, we work for that, and it's very important to share with you that all the DMOs, we got together with all the other associations here in Mississippi, and we spoke to the governor, the lieutenant governor, the speaker of the House, and we asked for certain money to be invested because we knew that Mississippi could compete under these circumstances, especially coastal Mississippi. And thanks to them, we got certain funds that we're finishing spending that money. And the reason why I'm bringing this is because what we promised, we delivered. We were able to invest the money wisely and get the results and the return on investment, not only for coastal Mississippi, but for all the communities from the south to the north of the state. And we're seeing a better improved tourism under the current circumstances. So that's very important to bring to the table, because it was not only us. This is a truly complete support and effort from the state, from our legislators, from our counties and mayors, and obviously the private sector, Ricky.
Well, have you ever seen anything like that before, where there's so much alignment across the state at every level to say, okay, we have some recovery money available to us. How are we going to do this? And instead of just flying by the seat of your pants, there was strategic alignment around what needed to happen in order for Mississippi to market itself properly within the confines of the pandemic. And have you ever seen anything like that before?
Well, I think it was the first time here in Mississippi. I've been part in other destinations in similar efforts, but I can tell you tourism, I can tell you recovery for the nation will come through tourism, as simple as that. And I think we're in the right path. And I'm very thankful to all the elected officials that supported us, and very thankful to all the DMOs and industry professionals that backed up this plan. So we deliver for our communities. But I wanted to tell you about some numbers, which is really important. The for us, for Mississippi, what we're looking at, the forecast for 2020 is that the occupancy will finish 15.8 behind 2019. This is half of what's going to happen in the nation. But here, for us in coastal Mississippi, we're only 10.2% behind. So you will see how coastal Mississippi is the backbone, is that big pillar of the industry in Mississippi. In terms of the average daily rate, which is the average of the rate that the hotels collect, and they charge to the people that are staying in the state, is like 8%. In our case, it's only 7.5%. And again, the 8% for the state, it's much, much better than the 10 or 20% in the nation. And in terms of the revenue per available room, which is a very important consideration for the people that is investing the money, that's an indication on how much money is producing every room, occupied or not, to the bottom line of a company. In Mississippi is 22.6%. In our case, in coastal Mississippi, it's only 16.9. So as you can see, when you compare those numbers, Ricky, we're talking about a phenomenal opportunity to keep building up. This is the moment of truth for us as a community. Now that we have seen how important tourism could be, are we going to take this to the next level or not? That's the question we should do. We have learned so much. Now is the moment to learn from this experience, learn from 2020, and take the coast to the next level in terms of tourism. And I believe you, if we can do this together, we'll have great results for the entire coast, and certainly for the state of Mississippi.
Well, you know, it was interesting. I had the opportunity to participate in a program at Northwestern, and at the end of the program, it was a year-long program. At the end, a man named Robert J. Danzig, who was the chairman of the board for the Hearst Corporation, came in to speak to us. And he said at the very end, well, I would say the whole theme of his speech was this, that there was a powerful lubrication to change that comes from pain. That, you know, the point that he was making is that, you know, whether you're in a business or your personal life, if you're not feeling pain, then you're not changing. And if you're not looking for it, you're not going to change. In order to improve and get better, you have to be focused on where the pain's coming from. So the pandemic caused a lot of pain. It was the ultimate lubricant to change. In other words, to get aligned, to figure out strategically where we want to go. And now that we've discovered what we know, now what are we going to do with this? How are we going to take all this learning that we have now, all this aligning that we have now, and begin to say, okay, man, everything we set out to do strategically has come to fruition. And now what do we do? Now how do we continue to keep Mississippi aligned in order to improve tourism for this state? Do you feel the momentum?
Oh, absolutely. And the key will be is with all this data that we've been able to collect over the last 6 to 8 months, I can assure you, we're talking about hundreds of pages, thousands of pages of information about how people will start buying travel from now on. what type of things they are going to visit, how they want to engage with travel. We're talking about touchless destinations. We're talking about artificial intelligence. We're talking about more digitally oriented organizations. So we're knocking on the door of another big transformation, not only on how we deliver the service, but how we go for that potential business. And that's what we need to come, the meetings of the minds from the legislators to the stakeholders, to potential investors, to our communities, to rethink about how do we want to position coastal Mississippi? What type of things we want to do different that, number one, will keep us as one of the top destinations in the South, but more important, how with this opportunity we're gonna grow our market share in the region and make sure we have more visitors and more economic impact, that we have a sustainability plan in place, that we know exactly what type of technological advances we need to push forward, and certainly go for the business. Big decisions, Ricky, and I hope, and I know for a fact, not only in coastal Mississippi, but the state of Mississippi will think about this and will make the changes to make sure that Mississippi comes and get out of here like a different destination in the eyes of the nation.
It's so important to hear you talk about how this plan was implemented in the early days of the pandemic, and then now what the results are. To be able to look at how we compare to other regions, just Mississippi to the rest of the nation, and to see how well we did relative to all that. That's got to. I mean, what that tells you, number one, is that people want to come here. They want to come here. And they really want to come to coastal Mississippi. That's what that really tells you. What other numbers that stood out to you? Anything else specifically about the research you guys have done?
No, absolutely. Besides the fact that obviously you have said, but it's important that people know that people are driving, and that's going to be for the time being, that's going to be very important. The other component that we're paying a lot of attention is for groups and conventions. Right now, we're seeing trends that it says that starting in second quarter of 2021, we'll see how meetings and conventions will start coming back. So what we're doing right now is we did a phenomenal survey with more than 400 meeting planners from across the nation that they knew us and first time dealing with coastal Mississippi. And they have given us very important information about which type of markets we need to go in the associations, in the sports market, in the social, military, religious, education, and fraternal type of groups, corporate groups. So you're going to see a more pinpoint type of a strategy, and we're going to go where people will say, yes, I'm going to go and visit coastal Mississippi. I'm going to bring my event or my group to coastal Mississippi, but you will not see coastal Mississippi trying to go for the big market across the state. We're going to go specifically targeting the business that is going to come and support coastal Mississippi.
Wow, I love the thought of that, because you've learned where you can have success. So let's put all of our energy into that instead of just casting this very wide net and hoping some come. We're going to be very, very tactical about it. And what gets measured gets done. So as you're measuring opportunities and successes, and even in some cases failures, you can then recalibrate and say, okay, let's exacerbate our energy in the area where we can get the most success from. So anyway, this is Milton Segarra from coastal Mississippi. When we come back from the break, we're going to talk a little bit more about 2021. Where are we headed, and what are they saying? How much will convention? We talked about conventions, but will they change forever in terms of what we were used to? We'll see when we come back from the break.
106.3 Casino Radio is here. Tune to 106.3 to discover all of our must-see attractions and everything that's happening at our 12 incredible casino resorts. Where to eat, where to stay, what to do, and where to play. 106.3 Casino Radio has you covered with everything you need to know to help make your visit here to the coast one you'll never forget. Turn on 106.3 Casino Radio or listen now on our website, CasinoRadio1063.com.
Thousands of Bulldog fans have subscribed to the Thunder and Lightning podcast. Have you? On each episode, Brian Haydad and Joel Coleman give you an inside look at your Mississippi State Bulldogs. The Thunder and Lightning podcast is free and available on demand at SuperTalk.fm and on your smartphone. Just search for Thunder and Lightning on iTunes, Google Play, or anywhere you listen to podcasts. Thunder and Lightning from SuperTalk, Mississippi, covering the Bulldogs like no one else.
The Lars Larson Show. On the left, they say that this president has divided America. No, the opposition, the resistance to Donald Trump is what has divided America. Because Donald Trump said he would work with both sides, and he's shown that he would. But the Democrats, because they want to take a position that everything about Donald Trump is wrong, to a large extent, they have refused to work with him on anything.
The Lars Larson Show, weeknights at 6 on SuperTalk, Mississippi. If Alexa's part of your life, you've got one more way to access SuperTalk. SuperTalk Mississippi is now available on Amazon Alexa devices. Once enabled, just say, Alexa, play SuperTalk Mississippi at any time and start listening. It's that easy. Just one more way to stay informed and connected with your state. Learn more at supertalk.fm/Alexa. SuperTalk Mississippi. SuperTalk Mississippi. Now available on Amazon Alexa devices.
Hey, want to come work for the #1 radio group on the coast? TeleSouth Media has a great opportunity for an outside sales consultant. Get paid while having fun and work in the exciting, fast-paced world of radio. We have award-winning stations like 97.9 CPR Rocks, 105.9 The Monkey, G96.7, SuperTalk 103.1, and 103.5 The Possum. Take the first step towards a new and rewarding career. Submit your resume to Jesse at telesouth.com. That's JESSE at telesouth.com. TeleSouth Media is an equal employment opportunity employer.
What would happen if I had to pick up the phone, call 911 for one of my family members or one of my neighbors? What would I do if no one was on the other end to respond? What if there was no 911? So you can be a part of the solution.
Anybody can be a firefighter. Male, female, younger, older.
We have school teachers. We have leaders in business.
Is me, you, anyone that wants to be. There is no typical firefighter.
SuperTalk Mississippi, your new home for the Ben Shapiro Show.
We don't hold back. We never shy away from telling you the truth.
The most electrifying national talk show on air today.
We have the most important guests and the biggest thinkers in America.
Ben Shapiro, brutally breaking down the issues of the day.
From politics to pop culture, we take a look at all of it. So don't miss out.
Weeknights at 9.
For something new and unique in talk radio, take a listen to The Ben Shapiro Show.
On SuperTalk Mississippi. When you listen to SuperTalk Mississippi, you become part of a statewide community, a community of knowledgeable, engaged, enlightened, well-informed, hard-working men and women just like you, all eager to see the Magnolia State grow and prosper. There may be some disagreement on how to get there, but the goal remains the same, for each Mississippian to reach their American dream. Thanks for listening and being a part of the conversation on SuperTalk Mississippi. Talking to the people that help make the coast such a unique place to live. This is Coast Vue with Ricky Mathews on SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1.
Welcome back to Coast Vue. We have Milton Segarra, the CEO of Coastal Mississippi Tourism, with us today. And you know, Milton, just to kind of personalize it for a minute, my wife and I, we went to Croatia. She's a Croatian, and we went to Croatia and spent some time there. And man, we just loved that area. I was looking at some pictures recently of one of these really beautiful cobblestone streets in Split, Croatia. And people were shoulder to shoulder. You can see lots of pictures like that anywhere in the world where people come for tourism. Yeah, I wonder if we're ever going to get back to that level of density. I guess we probably will. I mean, one of the advantages in coastal Mississippi is the beach. You can spread out, and go to the casinos. You can kind of spread out. But the fact is, if you think about conventions, for example, how lots of people would come together and be together in close proximity and whatever. I guess you'll go back to something like that, but maybe not everyone's going to do that. Maybe technology begins to play a big role in this. What's your thoughts about this?
Yeah, very important point, Ricky. The thing is this, we'll see that small and medium-sized groups will start coming mid next year, then by the end of 2021 and 2022, we'll see larger events. Obviously, the vaccine and all the specific protocols that destinations will put in place. But based on the feedback that we have received, based on studies, we'll see more hybrid meetings, which means people will attend and people will participate on a digital platform. We were in conversations with a provider of services. We got a proposal from them. We didn't move forward this time, but what we'll consider is how people will be here, and through some platforms, they will be able to create their own avatar and they will participate on a trade show and they will go booth by booth, that type of things, and holograms. So what we're going to see in the next couple of years is a revolution in technology. And I think the meetings and conventions will be the number one area in which you're going to see a lot of technological advances to make sure people, if they want to come, they can do it. But if they want to participate from the meeting, but they don't want to be with 1,000 people in a convention center, they can do it virtually. So, and that's a trend that we're seeing right now happening. I have participated in 3 or 4 big conventions in the last 4 months that they are using virtual technology to run the convention. So it's something that it's already here to stay.
Well, we've talked about this on the show many times, but trends that were in place before the pandemic just get sped up by the pandemic. So remote work was being talked about before the pandemic. You're going to see remote work like you've never seen before coming out of the pandemic, because businesses have just learned a new way to operate. And in some cases, in many cases, they're more productive. And, it may not even be because of the pandemic that conventions change. It may be just so many businesses that are paying for these conventions. They're changing. They expect that the people who hold these conventions to do them in a different way. And so I just think that the whole element of technology and how technology has emerged and is so useful and being used in ways we never thought about before. That's why I think at the airports across America are going to have to do some recalibrating on this, because people aren't going to travel the way they used to travel. And it's not because they're concerned about germs. It's just because they're more productive and they're more efficient now. That's the kind of things that you guys are talking about, isn't it?
Absolutely. And the changes in all the business models that normally we are associated with, the speed of those changes, Ricky, has been phenomenal. What you thought it was the right thing to do by the beginning of this year of 2020, it's already gone. It will never happen again. And you have to force yourself as a professional, the organization, the community, to understand those changes, to embrace those changes and come with potential solutions on how to participate and be a big winner in this new scenario that we have. And the fact of the matter is that we've been able to corroborate that coastal Mississippi, that we have a product that the people from now on will be looking at. That room to room that we can offer, it's so important from now on. People want to go to places in which they will feel appreciated, number one, and number two, that they feel safe. And what we're doing here, the partners, the casinos, the hotels, the restaurants, our natural settings that we have, it's prime time, Ricky. And I hope we can continue, we can develop a master plan, we can develop a collective effort that will take us to the next level. I'm convinced we can do it, and I'm myself, the staff, our board, I'm sure it's committed to make sure we provide that opportunity to coastal Mississippi and our residents.
I feel it. And you can't help but feel the enthusiasm for, in a time when we could have been down way more than we were, by having all of the stakeholders come together and be focused on saying we can win even in a pandemic, and then achieve a success that is so much better than the rest of the United States. It's something to really be proud of and build off of for sure. So anyway, Milton, we're coming to the end of our time together, but it's been a pleasure to discuss with you sort of what we learned this year. Congratulations on I know it's hard to be excited about being down 20%, but when you could have been down better than 50%, those are some big dollars that we're talking about there.
I'll take it any day. Don't worry. That's okay.
I know you will. So anyway, on behalf of the Coast Vue and the stations, congratulations to you and your board and to other tourism stakeholders across the state. And let's hope 2021 continues to build on the successes of 2020. And we got a lot to look forward to. So have a Merry Christmas, buddy, and have a great holiday.
It's been a great pleasure. Thank you so much for this opportunity. And I really want to thank our staff in coastal Mississippi. They are the real heroes in all of this. So I'm so thankful to all of them. And
broadcasting safe and sound from the coastal Mississippi studios. This is Coast View with Ricky Mathews on SuperTalk 103.1.
And better news for the coast.